Hi, welcome to what is now transitioned into what I call unplugged. What is unplugged? Well, unplugged is my attempt at transitioning from my current timeline into a more optimal timeline or my highest possible timeline, grounded in especially full self sovereignty. Self sovereignty meaning like an escape from the system, an escape from the matrix, a detachment from the system as much as possible, right? Completely off grid in every aspect. That's the eventual goal. But as of now, like the title states, yes, I'm homeless. I'm not without shelter, right? I was fortunate enough to get an extended window before it does come to that. There might be a chance to circumvent it, but a short introduction. I believe that its reality is gamified to a certain degree, and in my circumstances, I believe to play the game fair, I need to actually start like at the bottom, like really genuinely at the bottom, at least maybe minimum 72 hours, right? But I haven't like slept on the streets as yet or woken up on the streets as yet. So like I said, I'm homeless, but I do have shelter, right? So what I plan to do with this project is document my journey from where I am right now to where I want to be eventually, how long it takes, whatever course of actions I take, I will share those. Whatever's helped me, I've shared those. Whatever initiatives I get nudged to pursue and they prove fruitful, I will also share those, share the processes, how I go along with it. And also, I've stated in my first video that I I'm not even believe. I'm 100% certain that I'm being guided along by, let's call it, the unseen aspects of reality. What I mentioned in the first my previous video, the secret, where you get so in tuned into reality, you beat out a course of harmonization along your thread of reality to the point where you and reality function as one. If you can notice it, but if you were to be able to take your spiritual practice to that level, you would realize that your God, yourself, your legion, whatever you want to call it, but the extension of yourself, that is reality, works with you to assist you in accomplishing your goals. For me, it happens in so many different ways. It could be like three birds on a wire. It could be like three birds on a wire sending a message to me. It could be like a ladybug landed on my hand sending a message to me. I would research what they mean, right? I would hear certain lyrics in a song, or a certain song would come up, a certain movie, a certain phrase, a certain feeling, a vibe. Like every time, there's always something that points me in the right direction. So I would also like, it's usually tends to be pretty subjective in the sense that you would have an occurrence would happen, right? But then you would also have a thought, a synchronized thought in the moment that occurrence happened, which would kind of coalesce together and create a sort of language. So it's like an action, a thought, and an experience coming together to create a language. So it's highly subjective, right? But if I could find a way to also make these experiences objective and share them, maybe sharing my screenshots or screen recordings as we go along, but I want to find a way to also try to make these experiences sort of objective and bring them to bring them to the spotlight. The reason I say this is because I also believe that we're entering a phase where, in reality, the age of Aquarius, call it that, but we're entering a new aeon where spirituality and consciousness is about to take the forefront and become like really prevalent in our society. In which ways, I'm not sure yet, but I'm pretty sure all the actions we're taking as a collective will contribute that in the end, right? I think the old gods are waking up, man. I wouldn't say the old gods, but like the old energies, the old spirits are back, right? So I'd like to document that also. Homelessness, what I'm about to do. This won't even be like a big focus on homelessness per se. Like, I do tend to see a lot of people in my short time I've been experiencing this. What I've noticed is that a lot of people like tend to get hopeless and just fall into this cycle of hopelessness where they believe there's nothing they could really do to get themselves out of this situation, and it just becomes a downward spiral to nothing, right? They just give up and stay stuck in a situation. Although I'm pretty fresh in the situation, I choose not to. I ask myself, what am I going to do about it? And I ask it in the other sense. I'm asking myself this, like, I choose not to get comfortable and complacent in this situation. I'm hitting the ground running, right? Although it's a game for me and I did want to see how far down I would have to start from to get back up, it's still a pretty challenging fight to overcome the at times hopelessness and have faith in what you're doing and what you're believing. So I can almost see it as a disadvantage to myself, unless others probably encounter an experience like this coupled with their spiritual journey or their consciousness journey, the journey back to self, which is how it happened for me, which is different, right? It's not like I don't feel like I deliberately lost my job or my housing situation fell apart just on my own accord. Yes, a lot of my actions were probably responsible for it too. I had a really good job. I cannot stay in a job for, I've come to terms with that. Like, that's just how it is. I cannot stay in a job for like too long comfortably, right? The requirements of having to like sort of like dilute your very being to coexist with others, it becomes very draining on your soul, and I could only do it for so long. After about a year, maybe a year and a half, I could probably go longer if it's seasonal and we get like winters off to ourselves, then I could take the time off and then deal with you all again the following year. But I can't keep diluting my spirit and diluting my essences. Like I said, I believe like this reality is a game, right? I believe in the simulation theory very, very strongly. And to a certain degree, I almost believe like I'm a demigod, like sent out. Like my purpose say, I'm not the only one or nothing special, but it's just me, my perspective, right? I could always see myself like as a demigod here for a system run, right? A trial run to make sure to ensure that the machine actually works properly as it's supposed to. So yeah, that's how my mind works. Like my mind really like ticks out there, right? And to have to like deal with like to just exist on another, like have a whole this other mask and deal with people constantly, it's draining. So I can't deal with jobs too long, right? So that's a big part of me gaining my self-sovereignty, right? And these are things I will try to document. I have a lot of projects. Hopefully I'll be able to share. I have like tons of projects and tons of ideas, but I tend to have a habit where I would start one thing, get excited by the next one, and not even complete this one and jump onto the next one, get excited by the next one. I want to stop doing that. I put everything on pause and I'm trying to streamline my efforts moving forward. Now, what you gonna do about it, basically, right? I've laid out a 3-course plan. No two situations are the same, but for my situation, the primary thing I wanted to do initially is figure out what do I want for myself? What does my soul actually want, right? And then once I came to terms with that and I had like a clear set course in my spirit, in my conscious practice, you needed to, I have this perspective where you need to have a one track mind about what you're doing so that you don't get deterred. When you put out your intent to the cosmos is not being tugged in a myriad different directions by your multiple intents, right? So I needed to finally streamline my initiatives to not overwhelm my manifestations per se, if you want to put it like that. So once I decided what is it that I wanted, what is it my soul wants, what will make me happy and completely satisfy myself, I laid it out on a plan, and that's like the esoteric part of it, right? Now, the physical part of it, the actual hands-on part of it, the other aspect of it is that I need a home, not a house, a home, right? To prevent anything like this from ever happening again, I need to own my own home. How do I do that? I can't afford a house in Toronto. I'm not even going to go into the whole business of Toronto markets. You could look at all of that housing and homelessness in Toronto. I'm trying not to go into that too much. You could look at some of that yourself. Cost of living in Toronto, right? So I've gravitated. I've always been inspired by the mobile lifestyle people live in the van life and the trailer life, etc. And the mobility and the freedom was something that just really inspired me. And then me needing to have my own home right now, the two of them came together at just the ideal time. The way it actually came across is that I started seeing a ton of, I was wondering what really is my option? Do I go back into just renting? And I was adamant I cannot fall back into that whole cycle of renting, paying bills, paycheck to paycheck, and it's not happening, right? So the van idea, the whole concept came together right at the perfect time, and the two of them like just come together and it's perfect. So I decided I'm going to get a van. The other good thing about the van is that the van would allow me, I'm a really good taper and painter. I'm a really good painter and taper, and this is what I do. Sorry, a call came in. Oh God. Yeah, and it's the tools, it's one of the tools I have going into this, right? And it's something I could use to make extra income. Although I do say to myself, I do not want to, currently I'm unemployed. I've been questioning myself, do I want to go back into the system? Whether it be just temporarily or full-time, I don't think it'll be full-time, right? But I do believe I kind of need to get back into the system a little bit. But then this time I'm going in with like my head on my shoulders. I know what I'm doing. It's not no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm not shaky. The comfort zone has been ripped from under my feet. Because a long time now I've been getting nudges to start a lot of these initiatives, but then I've been in a comfort zone, like I said, a comfortable job, just go to work, come home and fuck around, you know, because like you're in a stable job, right? So that has been ripped away, and I'm forced to it shouldn't have to take this for much people, but for us stubborn ones, like when consciousness keeps nudging you, and you're not taking on the initiative, you can get fucked. You can get fucked. That you will get dragged out to your calling, right? So, on top of the van, I probably would need to get back into the workforce. Either I get back into the workforce to a temporary degree, or I return to subcontracting, right? I've also gotten a few job opportunities, but then they couldn't take fruition because a lot of them required me having a vehicle. So with the van now, I have like two. Plus, it's a van. You could hustle with a van. There's so much gig work you could do with just owning your own van, right? So my home and my temporary source of income, right? I also finally decided to go back to school. And I'm going to go back to school to do something. It's only because I needed to find something that really resonated with me. For me to be proactive, I procrastinate a lot. For me to be proactive on something, it needs to really resonate with me. And I need to feel it, kind of, right? And I've searched, I've explored so many different avenues on interest in the last year. I've like looked into graphic design, I've looked into all this affiliate marketing stuff and web design. So like I designed my own website. I do a lot of graphic design from like billboards, flyers, posters, cards, t-shirts, you name it. Like I've just like dumped myself into like Canva, Kittle, and a little bit of Photoshop. I've learned a shit ton about SEO, etc. Because I also have a website with like a small blog, so that was a learning experience too. And I see all these tools I could bring across to this new avenue, right? So out of all the things, I do have a passion for the graphic design. I love doing it. It also helps with like my artwork and art therapy, like doing memes and little art pieces and seeing what messages comes up from the soul. But we'll get into that later. Maybe we might get into that, or you could also just explore some of that on my website, where we deal with a lot of talk on shadow work and art therapy, right? But none of it never resonated in the sense that it's something that it's like both fulfilling to both myself and my community, right? So I've been patient, and finally, like, I was inspired to take up to look into Reiki. Now I've been always very much fascinated by energy and the concepts of energy when it comes to spirituality, right? When it comes to consciousness and the study of consciousness, I've just been fascinated in learning how energy works, not only for to better myself, learning how my energy works within myself and how energy works with others, the compatibility of the energy streams with others, and if you want to look at it throughout time, throughout space and time, the energy streams of our ancestors, our orishas, our deities, how all of this coincide. Now, although it mightn't, I'm not too certain it probably answer a lot of the metaphysical aspects of reality, but in terms of how it works with others and within myself, it's a huge gateway to better understanding energy. So it's like perfect. The other thing is that it allows me, it's something that's been important to me also, although I do believe that we should all try to own a little bit of online real estate to some degree in this day and age. I also wanted to be able to, well, I got inspired to ensure that I maintain a hands on the ground approach to consciousness also, which is I think it's very important, me getting the nudge to take that route also. And the other aspect, it allows you to actually work with others, understand yourself and your relation, and how your energy and your relationship to others actually works. I've been like in monk mode for the longest while. No relationships, no external relationships to a very strong degree. I probably have like two friends I kind of keep touch with. This would allow me to also get in touch with a lot of people who share similar views and beliefs as myself, and could also help with fostering community to a certain degree, right? And looking into it, it's basically a 6 month course. We're looking at like over a thousand, like just like $1,500 over the course of 6 months. And from there, I would, like reading about it and studying it. Apparently, the Reiki graduation session is like an imbuing session where the master needs to pass on the powers to you, sort of. So that's that's pretty cool to find out. But then I also got this little nudge to like continue. Don't just settle for the 6 months, but try to continue in and learn as much of it as you can. If you could travel, go visit other masters in other districts. If you could go to the core district, go to Japan, see if you could meet the other masters there and see if you could do some work with them. Just continue your studies in it. Don't just see where it takes you. Don't just be like, oh, 6 months and I'm a Reiki master and start. But I also would want to make it a source of income. And again, having a van, but primarily not having a business list, but having a van. And then if I also get into Reiki, I could also look into SEO, which I've like sort of really gotten good at. I could do SEO, I could do marketing, I could find ways, I could basically rank my local business at the top of Google ranking in my community, especially for something that's like a low search volume as Reiki. I could put myself like the minute you search for Reiki, you would see my course, or not my course, my service, right? I could also transition into bringing this service to people's home versus them coming to me like an in-home masseuse, an in-home Reiki session, right? So those were my first three aspects. What do I want to do initially to get myself out of the situation? A home, which is a van, a source of income. For now we're grounded in getting a stable source of income, a job to a certain degree, whether part-time or not. Once we get the job and the van up running, we'll decide if we're gonna keep the job. I'm not sure as yet. Or if we want to just keep the job for the 6 months until we finish the Reiki course and then transition from there. Also, with my Reiki course, I could literally like travel anywhere. My van, I could go all across Canada. I could give up Canada if I want to. A big part of it, I also feel like I need to uproot myself from this city and start fresh over again. Like I believe like there has to be a complete uprooting of everything. So I did cancel like all my services except the ones I need for this one. Brand new phone number, no one has except like maybe one or two people. It's not even under my name, it's like a pseudonym. So to a certain degree, I almost don't exist right now, right? I canceled like literally everything. And I've been signing into most of my services with my pseudonyms, right? Um Taxes. I still think I would probably need to maintain. There's like legal aspects and tax aspects. Unless I go full on and change my name legally, there's still a lot of things I need to kind of respect in the culture. But it's only a matter of time, right? Again, like I don't know how I'm so optimistic and cheerful in this situation. I guess it's just the spiritual work behind it and having that vote of confidence with myself, right? And versus being terrified or frightened, I'm like excited and feeling like it's challenging. And I'm like, I can't wait to like start and get into it and start documenting. I just can't wait for things to start happening, right? And share all of it, and hopefully it inspires, because like I said, a lot of people in my situation, met a lot of men in my situation, and they're just like giving up, right? They're like, what the fuck you want me to do? And we're facing this mental health crisis in Toronto because of this. You have a spate of like train closures and bridge closures, and no one would disclose why exactly it's happening. I have a pretty strong feeling like people are just losing hope and calling it quits, midlife crisis and calling it quits, right? I have never been suicidal. I've never thought about being suicidal, although I was at a point where I was like, oh, bro, it's over. But I also got inspired, like very much so, by some people I met online. I got inspired by certain videos I ended up watching on YouTube, and it just made you feel like, wow, you could do this, man. There's hope, right? And I figured if now I could share my story same way, hopefully one day some, even if it's just one individual sees the story, is like, oh, yo, this man in the same situation like me, lost his job, he's homeless, but he's not giving up. And look, he made it out of the other, he made it out to the other side, right? That's the I'll share my story. It's my story, but hopefully, it could inspire others to not give up hope and keep fighting. Hopefully it will also provide a blueprint on how you could actually fully disconnect from the system without selling your morals. I have like this whole moral battle too, because I could easily like go into like, when I started doing the affiliate marketing research, there's a shit ton of scams. There's ways you could like easily scam like people with like bullshit products, especially all those health products and shit like that. Oh my god. I did take up 3 projects that involved online marketing per se, and they can prove fruitful, right? But then not in the immediate sense where it make like become a millionaire overnight. But they can prove fruitful. So I've taken up 3 of them. I'm gonna keep pursuing those. If they do prove fruitful, then I will also share and document how I went about the process, because these are ventures initiatives that takes little to no upfront capital besides web hosting, right? Right now I probably have like 4 different websites hosting for different purposes. And as we go along, I hopefully, like I said, I'll probably share some of these and how they come into fruition, right? There's also another like more ambitious initiatives, way more ambitious initiatives that I have planned, but this again, I can't speak on this because you know how that goes. That's just how it is, right? So there's a lot of things in the works, a lot of things in the pipeline. I'm happy to be able to share my experience with everyone on here. It's pretty exciting, and this is the first for me. I also hope to get really better at these videos. I'm working with, so I did my own thumbnail. I've been working with Canva for a few, so there's like nothing. And I'm really, again, like I'm pretty good at like doing general and random designs. I hope to. I checked out this video editing software, which a free video editing software, which is called Pro Snapshot, and it's open source free. So I'm exploring into it right now. The laptop I have right now is not powerful enough to run it, which is like really annoying. I tried to. I always try to make even if it's the slightest bit of progress in everything I do. So my first video would be like generic as fuck. The second video, okay, I figured how to do the thumbnails, add some music to it. The next video, maybe an introduction. The next video, just keep growing in everything I do. So hopefully I'll try to improve the quality of these videos as we go. Yeah. What else? I probably did like 5 or 6 takes for this, and in the end, the last one I did was really good. Then I realized I did it in portrait mode, and I just needed to do it over again. And I'm not too fond of scripts per se. I try to maybe for certain videos, but for this, just an introductory video to what, who, why, where, and when. I figured it just needed to come from the heart, right? So this is it. This is me. This is Unplugged. Thank you for sharing this little short little moment. This is half an hour from your busy schedules with me. And I hope to at least maybe once or twice a week. We'll see how it goes. But I just hope to just keep sharing my journey with y'all. And I hope it inspires others to maybe one day unplug and see somebody did it, and man, just leave the system and like chase your dreams, right? Whatever those may be, right? With that being said, again, thanks for joining me for Unplug. See you in the next one. Best.